The explosive new film, Flynn, deliver the truth, whatever the cost, exposes secrets behind the government's takedown of General Michael Flynn.
Flynn knew what the intel world had been up to.
He ordered the first audit of the use of contractors. This set off alarm bells.
He told the truth. He was the most dangerous person for Donald Trump to hire. They had to get rid of Flynn.
Flynn, deliver the truth, whatever the cost. Available now. Watch it today. Go to salemnow.com. salemnow.com.
Good morning and welcome. Patriot Radio News Hour, Joe and Jason on this Monday. Man, wrapping up April already. Where does the time go? All kinds of stuff. I was gone on Friday. My buddy Homer, some of you may remember my buddy Homer. His daughter got married, and we were in North Carolina. Never been. Well, I've been to the airport in North Carolina, but never actually been to North Carolina. Right outside Charlotte. Pretty nice. I'll say that I can imagine it being pretty humid in the summertime, but at least the weather was just about right for while we were there. And nice city. I'll say this: Charlotte's a nice city, no doubt about it. Big financial banking hub there. In Charlotte, so we were there for that. We're back at the draft, the NFL draft. How did your team do? You know, I love it with all these analysts. Oh, these guys nailed the draft, and then these guys, they bombed it. They don't know, right? They're all just kind of guessing. But you know, if your team had a rough year last year, the draft always gives you hope, right? Gives you hope that hey. Next year, it's got to be a better year. NBA playoffs or I'll tell you this. I'm glad the Suns are out. Good. Because that means I don't got to watch them, right? They just got swept up and swept out. And now Denver's got a chance, right? Wrap it up here against the Lakers, right? But other than that, the rest of the world, we had a bank closure over the weekend, the FDIC taking over bank. We also had a bank merger, which I think we're going to start hearing a lot about these. See, mergers are better than closures, aren't they? Because they sound better. Oh, no, we're not being taken over, right? Well, we're just merging. UMB and Heartland are becoming one and the same, and I know one of them has operations in Colorado, but this is going to be, again, trying to get big enough. This will put UMB just under, not quite to $100 billion in assets, but getting bigger here as, once again, I think this is, Jason, we're going to see a lot more of this. The institution in Philadelphia that went under over the weekend, these were these smaller banks. Now, we're going to start seeing, I think, a lot of these smaller banks either get gobbled up or get just disappear. Republic First, this was seized by the FDIC. It's going to be bought by a bank called Fullerton Bank. It's going to cost, I don't know, about maybe $1 billion, maybe. This was a bank, they had $6 billion worth of assets. But again, it's slow moving. This isn't a big enough bank yet for it to matter. The problem will be, how many of these little banks will it take to equal one of the big banks?
Yeah, Joe, and it still seems like it's going in slow motion too a little bit, doesn't it? We see it, we watch it happening, and I think there's a lot of people that in this industry know it's going to happen, and I think a lot of these guys know it's going to happen to them. Not, maybe not a lot of them, but some of them. And how many banks for a big bank, Joe? A lot, isn't it? Take a lot. You got to take a lot of banks, but let's see. We'll see what happens. I mean, I feel like it's when it comes to the banks. It's and even the private businesses. It's like a bunch of people just stranded out in the ocean, and the inflation is just moving the water higher and higher, and you're just going to see who's going to make it, right? Who's going to make it to the life raft? Who's going to get pulled out of the water just in time?
Can we get by? Right? Can we survive? Yep. We got a busy week this week. We got a Fed meeting. We've got Treasury. This is going to be and something we're going to talk about, the Treasury refunding. We're also going to have jobs data because it's going to be the beginning of May, so we'll get jobs data this week. We've got ISM, we got JOLTS, we got tons of earnings. So it's going to be a very, very active week. The one thing that everybody's expecting is going to be the Federal Reserve talking about slowing the pace of quantitative tightening. This goes hand in hand with the Treasury refunding. So what is Treasury refunding? This is where the Treasury, remember what the Treasury's been doing. Oh, we got to sell more debt. We got to increase the size of auctions. There's too much debt coming available. The only way that the Treasury is going to be able to say we don't have to make auctions even bigger is for the Fed to start selling less of their balance sheet off, and I think that's kind of the plan. They're hoping that maybe they won't have to increase the size of the auctions until 2025 as the Fed winds down quantitative tightening in 2024. And I guess the problem with that, right, is if the Fed doesn't wind it down because inflation keeps getting hotter, then the Treasury's going to have a problem.
It's the same old song we've been singing for several years now. That's just the way it is. I mean, and if the debt wasn't $35 trillion, there would be room to play, as you said, how many hundreds of times the last bunch of years. But they're walking the tightrope, and they're trying to see if they can please both sides of this thing. And I think that's where the slow motion crash comes from. You just kind of let both sides die at the same time slowly.
Yep. They're going to auction off another $125 billion, try to fatten up the Treasury's checkbook, and then hope. And I'm sure, listen, we say hope. The Fed and the Treasury, they've already told each other, right, what they're going to do. But that's going to be, like I said, a lot of key data points. I think we're going to see probably a little more aggressive cutting of the quantitative tightening, which I think could spur gold. So we'll see what happens. We'll be right back. 800-951-0592. Joe and Jason, Patriot Radio News Hour here on this Monday. And a quick look in at the markets. The Dow's up 70. The S&P's up 12. The Nasdaq's up 40. The 10-year note down to 4.62. Crazy moves. I mean, it's really interesting to watch the 10-year note move like a meme stock. The Japanese yen looks like there was intervention today by the Bank of Japan on the Japanese yen today. Crude oil's down $1 because, somebody's in the Middle East today. Yeah, so we're going to try to get a ceasefire. Okay, sure. Gold, pretty flat, up $1. Silver, same thing, pretty flat as well. The news of the day, probably the Japanese yen, which broke 160 right now at 156. These are huge moves. Currencies, treasuries, they're not supposed to move like they've been moving. But again, this is just another one of those indicators of the financial stress that's really out in the markets, just under the surface. And that's why we call it, this is the year of chaos. Like I said, I think this year is still, already there's been plenty of chaos. I'm more worried about what happens after the chaos, and I think that's when we start seeing it all fall apart. What's coming next year, the year after that, and getting ready. That's why we keep telling you, be more diversified here. Get your gold, get your silver, keep adding to your portfolios. If you haven't started, what are you waiting for? Right? I don't get it, right? What are you waiting for? But be even more diversified. Check out our friends at YRefi. You can get up to 10.25% fixed rate of return, not correlated to Wall Street. Doesn't care. I mean, that would be kind of nice. Wouldn't it be nice to know, hey, well, this happened or that happened or oh my gosh, World War III happened. Hey, but I've got this part of my portfolio I know exactly what I'm going to get. I can turn it in I can use it as income. I can compound it. You can do whatever you choose to do. Check them out. InvestYRefi.com. That's the word invest, the letter Y, REFY.com. Remember, you got to have a minimum of at least $50,000, or just call them. InvestYRefi.com, 888-YREFI-24. There was an article out with the former comptroller of the currency and talking about what is going on financially with the United States. David Walker, you guys may remember him. We used to talk about him quite a bit. Gosh, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago. In 2007, do you know the national debt was below $10 trillion? So here we are in 2024. So you think about, well, gosh, that's what, 17 years? And we're at, essentially, I think next week we're going to hit $35 trillion. Right? So we look at what we've done in that short of a time. By the end of the year, what is that number going to be? 37? Right? 37 trillion? You know, you're talking about, but I mean, you're within a whisper of adding $30 trillion. And really, if you count the Fed's balance sheet, because that's got to count. They pretend like it doesn't count. I don't know. Why does that not count? Right? Why does that not? Of course it counts. So really, what are we at? We're already over 40 trillion. We've added $30 trillion. I mean, really, by the end of the year, we've been adding $2 trillion of debt for a long time. The budget deficit, wow, was $160 billion. What? 160 billion. We do that in like a month. That's nothing. Right? A month. I'm being kind. We probably do that that's one bad weekend, Jason. That's one bad weekend when we look about how much federal debt really is being added. I think most people are completely blind to how big this bubble really is.
Well, and once again, the trade deficit is a lot to do with dollars leaving to buy products to bring into the country. And as everything is inflated, that deficit has to get worse, Joe, because, you know, to get weird plastic gadgets from China to put into Walmart so people can buy them, they're costing, you know, instead of the $2 gadget, now it's a $4, then it's a $5 gadget. And if you add all that up, that percentage, the trade deficit probably is going to get a lot worse. You know, there's going to be a whole lot more spending in dollars going out, which I guess is kind of a good thing. Maybe, Joe, when the deficit gets smaller, maybe that's the bad thing. That means nobody's taking dollars anymore. The trade deficit, it's a little bit hidden, the information there. It's almost like, well, at least somebody's still taking dollars going out, right, Joe? It's showing us that somebody is accepting dollars, but for how long, Joe? Right? For how long?
Yeah, and that's going to be the thing when David Walker was talking. He's like, "Where's the tipping point?" Right? Where is it? And when we look at what's been happening in the Treasury markets, look at what we just said in the first segment. The only reason that the Treasury is going to be able to stop increasing the size of auctions, which are already outrageously high, is if the Fed stops selling its balance sheet. Right? That balance sheet that's just under $8 trillion, $7.7 trillion, most of that in Treasury debt. And here's the problem. Okay, so they stop. Right? Let's just say they take the rest of the year. They wind it down. So at first, who knows what they'll come out with this week, right? Maybe they'll say, hey, we're going to cut back. Instead of $95 billion a month, we're going to sell 75 or 65. And then they'll gradually, you know, a couple of meetings later, okay, we're going to take it down to 50 or 40. And then, okay, And by the end of the year, they stop selling it altogether. Here's the problem. By the end of the year, even them going $95 billion. Now, granted, it's not all treasuries. I think like $60 billion of it a month. Think about that. $60 billion a month. Let's just say it runs out by the end of this year. The Treasury at the end of the year, Jason, they're still going to have to expand their balance sheet because even that's how fast. Okay, well, that was only $60 billion. That's not enough, right? $60 billion a month. So, you know what? We've got to sell more than that.
Interest on the debt's not going to stop growing the way it's headed. They have to, they're most afraid, the government, of default, of bankruptcy. At least a normal traditional, hey, we can't pay our bills, bankruptcy, because America's got the full faith and credit of the United States government. It's the best in the whole world, and so the interest on the debt's not going to stop. So they're going to have to sell that stuff, Joe. They're going to have to. They have to pay, even if they stop spending money on all the other programs. What a budget just for the interest on the debt, Joe.
Yeah, and what does that mean? What is the effect? Well, how about sticker shock out of California as an example? Of course, we know about their new minimum wage law and prices from Chick-fil-A to McDonald's to Burger King. You know, McDonald's has raised prices 100% in the last 10 years. 100%. That's from McDonald's. I mean, that's 10% a year, right? Nowhere close to the inflation that they're always talking about. But this guy, he was talking, Seth Adamans, his name. He was in L.A. earlier this week, well, last week, I guess. He's a 39-year-old therapist. Said his usual $16 meal that he picks up weekly at the Chick-fil-A in Hollywood, California is now $20. Okay, so this is fast food, and you're paying $20 for whatever his usual meal was from $16, right? So that's a $4 increase. That's a 25% increase. It's a spicy chicken sandwich, which used to cost $6.29, is now $7.09, according to Chick-fil-A, which Chick-fil-A is saying they're trying to hold prices in California. This is from Chipotle. Listen to this. A double steak bowl. Now, I have no idea what that is. So what? A steak bowl, double meat. $17 in Nevada is $39 in California. I mean, can you imagine going to Chipotle and you're ordering just for you and it's $39? Jason, this is the kind of thing that we're talking about. Remember when you'd go to the fast food place and it was maybe $5, right? Then it went to 10. Now we're talking about 20. Oh my God, you want double meat? How about $40? This is what's going to happen, and people are starting to see it. We may not be California yet, but it's coming.
I'm trying to find the source of something I'm looking at here, but quarter pounder with cheese for $9.99. New prices in California, but it won't say where. I'm not trying to read where it's at, but because unlike some of their other products, a couple that are the Big Mac and the quarter pounder actually use 100% beef, and they have different vegetables on it, so it's a little pricier than like a double cheese. Their double cheeseburger now, Joe, $3.79. It used to be like $1, for that low quality stuff.
That was a value. That was a dollar menu item forever.
Yeah. So the $9.99. It's on Reddit. These people are complaining. Why are we having to pay $9.99 for a quarter pounder with cheese? And you know what? It is kind of interesting. I mean, go 20 years back. I mean, their heads would explode if you heard that. And now it's like something that people are going to have to get used to.
Yeah, and this is a microcosm of too many dollars. People aren't listening. You know what? People aren't figuring it out yet. You have no clue. This is this is so much like, I remember the 07 bubble and how bad they missed everything. This is worse because this is an inflationary bubble, right? The 07 bubble was more like a deflationary bubble, wasn't it? Because it was housing based and housing. This is an inflationary bubble, and there's no let up here. You know, when we talk about entitlement programs, Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, the amount of money being added to the debt from those programs, there's not enough there. We're not collecting enough as it is, and it only gets worse every single year. And I don't see how this debt slows down, Jason. Right? How does it slow down? And that's the problem. Right? The path here, no matter what they do with interest rates, look at what's happening now. The Fed hasn't raised interest rates in almost a year. And yet the 10-year notes near the highs that it's been for literally almost like since this millennial. I mean, maybe in the early 2000s we had a 10-year note in the 7s, maybe. Right? I don't even know if we did. But, 5% or near 5%, that's like the highest it's been in 20-plus years.
It's getting expensive, Joe. It is getting expensive. I'm just looking at the prices of things. You can almost look at this stuff. You almost look at this stuff on a week-to-week or a month-to-month basis, and prices are going up monthly. Prices are being adjusted monthly. This isn't a quarterly thing anymore. It's a monthly thing. Pretty soon it'll be weekly, Joe.
The insurance companies, oh my gosh, you living in the wrong state. Heck, they're packing up and leaving, saying we're not even going to do insurance anymore. 800-951-0592. You guys have no idea. Already, Janet Yellen, gosh, this woman, how did she get so powerful? Remember, big supporter of the global minimum tax on corporations. Remember that? Right? Remember, first, think about this. It was just, oh my gosh, it's so unfair. We can't compete with all these other countries. And we need to lower the taxes so American companies can compete. Now it's, oh no, man, we got to have a minimum tax. Like every company has to pay X amount plus. And guess what? All of you debtor nations, you're all going to want to get on board on this. Now, the Wall Street Journal says they've got a new plan. The global wealth tax. Yeah, get ready. Listen, in the next, here's what I'm going to guarantee. Between now and 2030, the tax rates are going to skyrocket for everything. Now, they're always going to make it look like you poor people. And granted, the poor people now, there's a lot more of them now, because there'll be a new level of poor in this country. I don't know if it'll be 50,000, 100,000, 200,000 property taxes. I'll call it the vice taxes, right? The alcohol tax, the cigarette tax, sporting events tax, rent-a-car tax, city tax, state tax, this tax, that tax, wealth tax, global wealth tax, climate tax, you name it, the taxes are coming. Apparently now the United States, along with several other G20 nations, would like to impose a 2% wealth tax on the world's billionaires. Yes, that's going to fix it, right? They love 2%, don't they, Jason? It seems like that's because they just make these numbers up anyway. Well, let's just go 2%, right? So think about this. Well, wait a minute. I got to pay my state tax, my federal tax. Now I got to pay my global tax, right? By the end of the day, they're going to ensure that everybody has nothing except the very few.
And there's the new thing that the government's proposing that was at the 46% on the wealthy tax. But what's worse in that package is the 25% unrealized gain tax, which is in there, which means if you're a stockholder or you're a crypto holder, most people that own crypto, they're holding it in an exchange, and they keep records, your name, all your identification to be in that exchange, it's all there. So you could sit there and hold your Bitcoin and watch it go up. And I don't know how it works, Joe. Is it 25% of holding it? Does that mean the next year you pay another 25%? I really don't. I haven't looked at the exact rules, but the unrealized gains tax that is a part of this package coming in, nobody wants to talk about that part. They're looking at the 46% rich tax. Well, that's all well and good. We've dealt with that stuff before, but not the unrealized gains tax. Man, just holding on to gold and silver seems like the smartest, best thing you could ever do right now, because only you need to know how many ounces of gold you're holding, right, Joe?
Well, I'm telling you right now, they've talked about this unrealized gains thing. Normally you pay taxes when you sell it, right? Because you haven't realized a gain until you sell.
And you're holding on to the risk. You're holding on to the risk of holding that asset.
And you hold the risk, right? Because you don't know. And now they're saying, well, we want to start taxing that. Do you know there's only 3,000 billionaires in the entire world? That's it. That's all there is. We got 8 billion people, and there's 3,000 of them. And why do I get the feeling most of them probably are in China? But yes, who's for this? Oh, you guessed it. Oh, Janet Yellen thinks it's a great idea. Here's what she says. Ready for this? Because this tells you they already know how bad the problem is going to be, how fast it's coming. She called this a necessary third pillar. So what Social Security, Medicare, that's a pillar, right? They call that a pillar, right? I don't know what all the pillars are, but apparently this is a necessary third pillar that complements the negotiation on the taxation of the digital economy. Whoops, what? Oh, you think she just slipped that in there? That was a slip of the tongue, a Freudian slip? No, come on, guys. Wake up. A minimum corporate tax of 15% for all multinational corporations, as well as a 2% tax on you billionaires out there. And it's just one of these things, Jason, where this is where we're going. You look at the agreement with the World Health Organization, the next pandemic, they get to tell us who can go where and who can get on a plane and who can do this. And now with our quote-unquote G20 guys, we're going to set up tax requirements for multinational corporations and, of course, the billionaires. And what happens when the billionaires, it's millionaires, right? And it just keeps going higher and higher. Look at 2% inflation. They say they want it, but they actually aren't going to do anything to get it, are they?
No, they can meaningfully just raise the interest rates and break the markets, and better yet, just step out of the way and just give back the banking right back to the country, back to the Treasury. Then we can get rid of Janet Yellen and things will get better. But none of that's going to happen. So they see the inflation, they want the inflation. Joe, I mean, the average middle class, whatever that's considered nowadays, they hold some stocks, and a lot of these guys are getting into cryptos and other things. I can't imagine, Joe. You jumped on Bitcoin, it's 40,000, then it moves up to 70. Let's say by the end of the year it has a great year, it's at 150,000 like a lot of these guys predict. And then you come into the next year, it's like, okay, well here's your 25% unrealized gains tax. Yep. Right? Okay, yeah, just give us $25,000. And then what if Bitcoin just crashes because like everybody gets hit with the tax, like, well, I ain't gonna keep my money in here. Now all the crypto money goes right into gold. Can you imagine what gold does at that point? $10,000 gold? You get all that money.
Same thing with stocks, right? Why would they do it? If you got wealth greater than $100 million, an inclusive unrealized capital gains tax, a minimum tax of 25% on your total income, that doesn't even include what you're going to pay state and locally. The wealthiest taxpayers pay 25% of their total income. People are like, hey, they don't even know what they're going to do to the economy when you do things like this. How about the inheritance tax? Oh, That's part of the 2025 budget. Oh, yeah, you know what? I know that we used to lower that stuff. Yeah, not anymore. And, of course, the long-term capital gains tax. Yeah, like Jason was talking. What, 46%? I think they're willing to settle for 40%. Patriot Radio News Hour. Possibly go wrong. 800-951-0592, Patriot Radio News Hour, Joe and Jason. We started the show talking about, hey, the Fed and the Treasury got to work it out so the Treasury can pretend not to increase the auction sizes at least for 6 months. The record levels of debt that are here. We've got treasuries acting like memes. We got currencies acting like meme stocks. This tax plan, it's going to get so much worse. Before we get into, because I want to tell you all the other things they want to do. We're not done. We're not done. But we've got a little house cleaning here at Patriot. We collect things over time, and we need to get rid of them, right? Because there's just not enough of them to go around. But a little clean out the vault here. We've got 100 1-ounce silver bars. I don't have any more, and I thought I was going to run them, and I could get more. I can't. They're just out of stock everywhere. I've got 100 1-ounce silver bars, and they're one of the big names, Sunshine or whatever. You know, they're 1-ounce silver bars. Nice looking. They're $32. You want to buy all 100 of them, knock yourself out. You want to buy 1, 5, 10, whatever, at $32. I only have 100. I don't have any more. I know bars have gotten pretty popular lately. It's kind of interesting to see. We've got 10 quarter-ounce American Gold Eagles. We're going to run them at $625. That's less than cost. Right now, by the way, so gold's up $3 right now, $23.50. Less than cost for a quarter ounce of silver. I've only got 10.
Gold.
I don't have any. Gold, sorry. Thank you, Jason. Quarter ounce of gold. Yeah, that'd be, hey, quarter ounce of silver is not $625. Not yet, anyway. We also have 3 half-ounce Gold Eagles. So double that price, $625. Double it for a half-ounce, $1,250. 800-951-0592. Whatever we don't sell today, we're just going to dump back on the wholesaler. So if you want to take advantage of it, buy it. You're not going to get them at these prices. 800-951-0592 and get it put away. How long do you think Wall Street's going to stay at these bubble highs with all the things we already talked about? We're not done. The child tax credit, so for all the poor people, right? They're going to expand it through 2025, make it fully refundable. Remember, this was a Trump thing. It was supposed to expire. Now they're saying, well, not only do we need it to not expire, we need to cover even more people with it, right? That's the way to get you to go along. Because you're like, yes, tax the rich people. Tax them. As long as, and give me something for free. Raising the corporate income tax in a simple way to raise revenue to pay for what they're calling their fiscal priorities. Yes. See, in order to give all this money away to the poor people, all the other stuff, you guys got to pay even more. But don't worry. I like how they do this. Administratively simple way to do it. Yeah, whatever that means. So what does that mean? Well, more corporate tax. More corporate tax. Revise the global minimum tax regime and raise it to 21%. Well, what happened to 15%? Well, that's gone. How about now global minimum, all the indebted nations all agree they all need to pay 21%. Well, what happens when that's not enough? Well, we'll go to 25, then we'll go to 30. A new 25% minimum income tax imposed on this extremely wealthy, right? We talked about that. Also, some pass-through business owners to avoid Medicare taxes would be eliminated. Remember what I told you, Medicare and Medicaid go broke first. Medicare tax rates would be increased. What? Oh. See? I told you. Additional loopholes will be negated. And they list a bunch of loopholes that they have. The child tax credit, we're going to expand that for you poor people. So they got to, after they hit the corporates and the rich people, then they give away something to the poor people. Increase the tax rates on stock buybacks to 4%. You know what I want to say it was 2%. And they always love to start with 2%, right, Jason? Now they're going to, right, because what are these companies like, well, we're going to buy back our stock. Well, let's put more taxes on that, Jason. The list goes on. There's so many more. I can't even go through them all. I'm scrolling. This thing's like 10 pages long of how many different tax increases, and this is all for next year's budget.
Yeah, the tax stuff's going to get so bad, and if anyone listening, anytime you hear corporate tax, just think prices for you to buy things just got more expensive, because that's all it is. There's no such thing as a corporate tax. I don't understand what anybody doesn't understand about that. A business adds up the expense and then sells the product. Why is it at $9.99 for a quarter pound of cheese in California? Because they added up all the expense and they sell the product at a price where they get their margin. And obviously, if you have a $20 minimum wage on the employees at McDonald's, that's going to raise the price of your quarter pounder. Corporate tax means more expensive for you. It's going to add to the inflation. This is all inflation driven, Joe, everything you talked about.
All of this. And guess what? Here's the sad part. They keep wanting to spend money. None of this is with any spending cuts, right? This is just matter of fact, they got a bunch of spending increases. God, get this 101 ounce silver bars, $32, 10 quarter-ounce gold eagles, $6.25, 3.5 ounce gold eagles at $12.50. 800-951-0592. 800-951-0592. I'll try to give you the highlights here. Top marginal rate on long-term capital gains jumps to 44.6%. What can you imagine? Hey, I know you made a bunch of gains on the stock market, but we're going to take 50%. Well, 44.6% of it. Thank you. Deductions for oil and gas companies eliminated. Let's see. Is that going to make things cheaper? Oh, no. Your power bill isn't high enough. What you're paying for gas isn't high enough. Wait till you got to plug your car in. Wait till you see what that bill looks like. A 30% tax on electricity used for mining cryptos. Yeah, sure. Why not, right? Yeah, I'm sure that's going to help that space. Restrictions on conversions to Roth IRAs. Oh, yeah, wait a minute. We don't want you guys to be able to somehow not pay taxes. Forced accelerations of IRA withdrawals. Hey, we need our money, right? We need our money. Taxes on insurance policies. What? Wait a minute, I'm being smart. I'm buying insurance. Well, there's a tax for that. Come on, man. Why are you doing that? You don't need that, right? Spend your money. Don't actually save. Don't actually plan. We're going to expand the child tax credit. Well, yeah, I mean, let's face it. All the illegals and their kids need money, so there you go. Earned income tax credit includes those with no kids. Well, you're poor. Again, you're poor, but you don't have kids. Here's some money, right? I mean, that's what that is.
Yep.
Restrictions on trust to avoid inheritance taxes. A corporate minimum tax. There's still a home buyer tax credit. Of course, only rich people can buy a home. 25% tax on unrealized stock gains for wealthy individuals. Yeah, I'm sure Wall Street's going to love that one. A marginal Medicare tax rate up to 5%. I don't know what it is currently, but get ready. You're going to pay more. Tax rate for C corporations goes to 28% from 21%. The global intangible lower tax rate would increase to 14%. I mean, get your gold and silver put away before they tax the hell out of whatever money you've got left. We have 100 1-ounce silver bars, whatever's remaining, at $32. We had 10 quarter-ounce gold eagles. We got 2 lines open. We got gold quarter-ounce gold eagles below cost at $625. We got 3 half-ounce gold eagles. Same thing at $1,250. 800-951-0592. And here's the problem, Jason. Not all of these things are going to get through, but over the next, let's just say that over the next 6 years, all of the things I just mentioned, quadruple them, because that's probably what it's going to take to have any sense of being able to justify. Because even with all this stuff, when you're talking deficits, $3, $4, $5 trillion a year debts are coming to the United States. You know, David Walker talked about the tipping point. I think we're getting right near it, aren't we? And what's left to tax, right? That's going to be the thing. Wherever your money is, they're coming for it.
3-star General Michael J. Flynn, head of the Pentagon Intelligence Agency, knew all the government's dirty secrets.
He was one of the most respected generals in the military.
Flynn knew what the intel world had been up to. He understood its funding.
He ordered the first audit of the use of contractors. This set off alarm bells.
The explosive new documentary, Flynn, Deliver the Truth, Whatever the Cost, uncovers the facts behind this scandal.
Flynn told the truth. He was the most dangerous person for Donald Trump to hire.
I find out the worst enemy that I'm going to face in my life is right here in America. They took my assessment and they wanted me to change it. And I was like, I'm not changing it.
They had to get rid of Flynn.
With in-depth interviews, archival footage, and never-before-seen personal records of the man behind the headlines.
I just felt like I was drowning.
Flynn, Deliver the Truth, Whatever the Cost. Available now. Watch it today. Go to salemnow.com. salemnow.com.